80% of them are failing at growing their book within 18 months. They're going from, say, one big law firm, moving to another big law firm. They're failing. And we're seeing this at an international level, not just Australia.
In this episode of Revenue Leaders, we unpack why partners who move firms stop winning work and whose fault it actually is.
They're so used to their internal referral group. They haven't been taught strict go-to-market sales practice to help enable them. I would be saying to managing partners, if you review those that you've brought over in the last 12 months, and if their books aren't succeeding, don't blame the partner. Have a look at the platform.
If you're a managing partner and the partners you hired this year still aren't billing, this conversation is for you. Welcome to the Revenue Leaders podcast. All right, Regs, half the people listening to this, they bill by the hour. They would rather just be working and billing more hours than selling. What do you say to them?
So get out there and sell. No. Listen, like for people in professional services, they've studied their asses off to be technical experts of what they are, right? Engineers, accountants, lawyers. I can understand that they've gone through university, built their craft, entered partnership or they're at director level, and then they're asked to sell. Like, I see the mental, barrier in that. So if I was to say, what would I actually say to them? It's naturally part of the job if you're in a partnership model, right? So it's like, how do we give them the tools to be comfortable either A, with the word selling, or B, the mindset that they have to help solve their clients' problems with them?
Yeah, because that's what they like doing, right?
Yeah.
They like doing the work.
Yeah.
And the only way to do more of the work is to actually have more work to do, which means you need to sell, right? So in order to help people, you need to have people to help. And unless these people are just coming to your door willingly, you need to do some form of action to bring them to your door.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I had this wonderful mentor, Michael Rennie. He was the CEO of McKinsey. The way he positions it is, asking people what is their dream practice.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, what is your dream practice? Does your practice look like that today? And if not, how would you get there? And the gap, if you were to look at the gap between now and that future dream state, it is unfortunately sales. Well, not unfortunately, but it is the concept of sales. So it's like, all right, we need to actually help you get there. We have to do it by, business development and sales behaviors.
Well, it's true. Yeah? Like if that individual says, I want to have a team of 10 and, doing X revenue and helping X amount of customers.
And these sort of clients at this level, but I'm currently here.
You need to acquire enough customers in order for that to happen. Right?
Or the right customers. So like another thing is, to be honest, like if you look at your book and it's not where it is, you have to then be like, what is your, average matter size or project, depending on, what area of professional services you're in. What is your average matter size? If it's say like, 50,000 and you need to hit 3 million, that's a lot of clients. So it's like, can I bump that average deal size up to 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever? So it ends up curating, a smaller list, but more interesting for your team, more advisory, that trusted advisor space rather than the churn of compliance work, for example. Accountants, some of them I've actually met, love a BAS statement, for example. So they like the churn of compliance, but ultimately you kind of need to think about where you want to position, because if I've got a book that's massive and I'm just putting fire out after fire, like, is that my dream practice? Or is it that I can come in with a curated bunch that I've selected that really trust me and I can work with them on those really strategic matters? I would probably go there.
Now, you've worked with hundreds of partners, right? You would have seen some amazing ones, some not so amazing ones, right? What is the difference between what makes a great, partner in one of these companies versus one that's, just fails, right, and loses their partnership role?
Okay, so that I will unpack. There's a few things to unpack here. I've been fortunate enough to work with some exceptional partners across, accounting, law, and then also technical experts in engineering as well. I think the thing that differentiates those high performers in that commercial perspective is that real level of curiosity. There is a gentleman that I used to work with at Grant Thornton. I'm going to drop his name, Neil Cook, incredible
Shout out to you,
transactional
Neil.
advisory services partner.
Mm-hmm.
The way I saw that man interact with new potential prospects is through a level of curiosity, through essentially consultative selling. He never said, hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. Here's my shopping list of experience. It was more, Dave, if you're going to be looking at this transaction, I've actually recently done one. These are the things that you need to consider. Or have you considered X because this was a problem in, a previous transaction that I worked on. So it actually gives you this understanding of what you're about to go through, rather than hey, check out my CV. And to me, every, opportunity that we worked on together, he won, and then he'd ask me for feedback. And so with that, it was he had this constant want to improve. Well, so there are probably a few things. The other piece to this, and we need to talk about what's happening today, particularly in law, there is the biggest transfer of partners moving from the firm they grew up in into new partnerships.
What
and
does
so
that mean?
firm to firm,
Okay,
they're
going to
moving,
another-
they're transferring to a different firm. Now, the thing is, what happens there at the moment, it's almost 80% of them are failing at growing their book within 18 months.
Is this the people that are moving, the partner that's moving to another
Correct.
company?
Yeah. So if they're going from, say, one big law firm moving to another big law firm,
They're failing.
They're failing. And we're seeing this at an international level, not just Australia.
Why?
So I think a few things is that they're so used to their internal referral group, they haven't been taught a strict go-to-market sales practice to help enable them. And so they go into these new firms, they've gone in with a business case on how much they would bring in. There's this strict line of okay, you can't take these clients with you because you have to negotiate between transfer of partnerships. So with that, it generally takes 12 months or 2 years, depending on those negotiations, until you can go out and contact your old clients again.
Right.
But then with it, if they don't have their network, their old clients, and then they don't have the skill set, how are they expected to succeed? So for me, it's that those firms, those new firms that are bringing on those partners, need to ensure that they have the onboarding, capability uplift. They've got internal referrals ready to go. They have to curate an ecosystem of success for them. So, what I've seen is that is actually failing at the moment.
And I was just, as you were saying that, I'll be like, well, if I'm a partner and I know that, why would I make the jump? What if I'm not confident that I can sell what I do, and I'm going into a new partnership, in a new company, and I may not know that what you just said there, the referral ecosystem, all that sort of stuff there is ready for me because I can't bring over my existing customer book that I've built out where I am. I guess, why jump?
I guess the same question is if you haven't, built a business before, why would you jump from a cushy corporate job into a startup? Because you believe you've got the capability to do it, and you probably do.
That's a good point, yeah.
Because
it is the same sort of thing, yeah.
It's the same sort of thing.
Basically building a business.
Yeah, 100%. You are. You're building a business as exactly what I've just done, jumping 100% into Rekavi. The thing is, if you need to back yourself. I do believe it's important to back yourself and to go after, those different ambitions. If you believe in your business case and you've got the support of this new organization, you're thinking about the grass is greener sort of thing, you're going to make the jump. Some of these paydays are pretty juicy as well. So, the commercials there are quite promising. So it's I want to jump. I want this new salary, the investment in this equity of this growing firm. Absolutely.
But like I said, 80% of them don't make it.
Yeah. So that there would be, okay, I think about it as twofold. Is it that individual, or is it then also the business not giving them the platform as well. So to me, I would be saying to managing partners, if you review those that you've brought over in the last 12 months, and if their books aren't succeeding, don't blame the partner. Have a look at the platform. Have they been enabled with the right processes? Have they been given the right support? Do they need, sales and business development training? These are the sort of things that I think that you need to look at from a firm perspective, not necessarily an individual partner. Otherwise, those shifts won't occur and it's all put back on that individual, right?
Yeah, I think that there needs to be a reframe of the word business development and sales, because it has that sort of
dirty.
Yeah, that dirty sort of feeling, car salesman. Not the car salesmen are dirty, but like you see on the movies. And it's actually I believe it's one of the greatest skills anyone could have. I believe that sales should be taught in schools for kids growing up, because they are, little do they know, they've been selling since the day they were born. When they're trying to convince their parents, hey, I want to go out here or buy me this or do that, they're selling, right?
Absolutely.
They're trying to convince, they're having those conversations. And then we lose that as we get older, because we think, okay, I'm doing a job and I'm just doing this job, whether it's product management, whatever. But still then, even in that role, any role, I would argue there's an element of selling, whether you're selling internally, selling to get a project over the line internally, to bring in a new tool.
Innovation is selling. It's a new idea, right?
It is. So we're all doing it, right? So I'd argue every single role has an element of selling. So it's almost one of those things where, look to embrace it, look to it as it gives you a power, it gives you a level of confidence that you can go on your own. Or if you're internally, you can build a business within a business because you can grow that. Gone are the days where sales just comes to you now, right? Like it's very challenging and hard now with the noise and the tooling and the automation that's out there. So having this skill set, this muscle that you can build, it's a bunch of habits, right?
Yeah, and it's a common language as well. What I've seen is like that evolution of because you're right, I have trained hundreds of partners on this, and if the training is successful and if they are like open to trialing different ways of working when it comes to sales, what I've found is that there's an evolution that they have in language adoption, right? So if I talk to someone that has never necessarily done sales training, so they won't use the word sales. They'll say, like if I say, what's your ideal client? They'll say, oh, everyone.
Yeah.
All of those things. But then as they go through training, they're like, oh, we're having these pipeline meetings. I have my first meeting on this opportunity, and they will start getting comfortable with it because they see it as a skill. They see it as a series of like practices, and they do lean into the consultative selling style, because consultative selling is sharing insights, adding value, building trust, building like a relationship, solving problems together. So if they see it as that, they'll kind of lean into it a bit more.
So look, we've spoken about what makes a great partner. Let's focus on the not so great ones. And, you would have come across them in the past, obviously. What are the small habits that, you believe that they can do daily to build that muscle to become a great partner in relation to building their own book of revenue? Yeah.
Okay. Really simply, know your ideal client and be really specific about it. It's okay to have a few different buckets. Know them and really, really well. You can look at that by just looking at your top 20 clients and then bucketing them into industry and size, right? Simple. Number one. Number two, whenever you're going into a meeting, don't start with you and your CV. Like lean into curiosity. So instead of me sitting here being like, hey, Dave, I'm Regan. I'm going to tell you how good I am at all of these things. I'll be like, hey, Dave, I'm curious and I'm going to ask you some questions, right? And really then find that connectivity of storytelling between what you are telling me and my, I guess, experience.
So you can weave in how good you are through the experiences and 100%. Based on who you're selling to.
Yeah, tell the story.
Yeah.
They're probably my main ones. Then,
pardon the interruption. I'm Luigi, one of the co-hosts here at Revenue Leaders. You'll notice we don't run sponsors or ads on Revenue Leaders.
This show is free. Our goal is to help you grow revenue and build your sales system that you can rely on. We do have a favour to ask though.
If this episode gives you one clear idea that you can use, do these 2 things. First, share it with one person, a founder, a revenue leader, or a rep who wants to grow their business. Just one. That's how the show grows.
Second, grab free access to our vault over at coachpilot.com/vault. Inside, you'll get the frameworks, templates, and short courses we use with clients to help them scale pipeline and increase win rates.
So the deal is simple. If you get value, share the episode with one person and go to coachpilot.com/vault to get the tools to put this into action. All right, let's get back to it. If you're going to be like wanting to close something, make it about the buyer and the decision maker. Don't make it about you. So if you're following up, don't be like, hey, Dave, I'm just following up. It's like, Dave, when we last spoke about this, we knew it was a priority of yours. Like lean into that. Here's some insights. Don't be about like your revenue, be about the client. And I think that this is going to be a huge difference. You know, if AI is going to be doing a lot of that compliance work for you or a lot of the administration, as professional services, your CX, your client experience is going to be the absolute differentiator for you. And I say this now, particularly for what's happening at the bigger end of town in accounting, like, you know, it's really, I guess, dissolved some trust there that, you know, mid-tiers have the opportunity to go out and really show that they're technically brilliant individuals that genuinely want to help their clients. So if they lean into that curiosity of and being confident and just going out and having conversations, I think that we're going to see a shift in the market. So they're probably some of the things that I think that they need to adopt.
Nice. Regan, look, let's tie this up now with a bit of a bow and give me what if someone's listened to this and they go, okay, I've heard you, I'm just not confident on sales. What could be the first action that I do when I wake up tomorrow and I start my job as a partner?
I've spoken about this before on this podcast, and I was actually reminded of it the other day when I was coaching some people, is my term around avoid the avoidance. Like if you have a phone call to make to a potential client, if you have an email to send, but you're nervous about it, do that before anything else. Like avoid the avoidance, focus on the thing that scares you. That's where the growth is. The second piece is start just connecting with people on LinkedIn and having conversations. The other day I was coaching someone and they're like, oh, they came back with this. But then I was like, I was worried I was going to sell to them if I said more. Just take this overcomplicated view out of your mind. You are connecting with another human. Stop thinking it's a big deal. Like just start having more conversations. Be curious, lean into that. So stop getting in your own way, right? Just stop getting in your own way.
I love that. I might just add to that point about doing the hard things. And like it's easy to do the easier things, right? The things that you're good at. But if you think about it, if you can do the hard things first, right? And it might take you a bit extra time the first time you do it, but then you continually do that hard thing. That hard thing becomes an easy thing. And then your own definition of what's hard then raises the bar, right? And if you can continually do that and do those hard things that sort of scare you, that give you that butterflies, a bit of anxiety, they eventually will go away. And then, like I said, the bar will be risen. And then before you know it, if you can continue to do this week after week, month after month, you'll be a different person by the end of the year, right? So embrace the hard things. And that's why, you know, we've got the goat as our sort of icon, our badge, because the goat is one of those stubborn animals that goes into those places where people are not willing to go. It's willing to go to that terrain where, you know, it's difficult. So embrace the hard things in life and you won't regret it.